All right. Well, we will go ahead and get started. It's 9:01. Thank you everyone for being here this morning. Catherine was double booked today, so she asked me to step in, which I guess come next year, I'll be stepping in every month. So anyway, I wanted to just kind of give everyone an update. We'll go ahead and get started on board and committee reports. From my perspective, I just wanted to remind everyone that we are still taking nominations for the secretary position and the membership chair position. All self-nominations are welcome, or if you know someone who wants to do it, you can nominate them if they don't feel comfortable nominating themselves. I also wanted to take a moment and just reflect on our September meeting, which was our in-person meeting for this year. And I wanted to thank everyone for your participation, for coming in, for Mary Ann, for all of her hard work, for getting everything ready. It was a really nice event. It was really nice to be able to see your faces in person instead of on a screen. And I enjoyed that tremendously, got to know several of you and got to talk to a lot of you. So I loved that. And with that, I'm going to go ahead and turn over the membership and communications to Mary Ann, but I don't see her on here.
I'm here.
Okay, hi Mary Ann.
I'm here.
Showing up on my screen yet.
Melissa, I don't see where you forwarded a PowerPoint.
I just sent it.
Okay, all right. I'll get that.
Like I literally sent it at 9 a.m.
Okay, all right. I haven't received it yet.
You know how HR goes? I was caught up with a personnel issue until like 8:55 and said
not a problem, not a problem. Shelly, we'll get you taken care of. Do
Not
not
a
worry.
problem. And Tara Wilson has it, so she's a member and she could probably share it. She's way more tech savvier than I am.
Okay, great. So just for a quick membership report, we are at 94 members. We had a goal of 100 for 2024, but we're extremely happy with where we fell within for this year. The 2025 memberships, we'll start that in January. We'll send out bills at that particular point in time, but we're very excited about the number of members that we have. We just completed the SHRM audit of our membership roster, and half of our members are national SHRM. So we increased that particular statistic by 10%, so that's even better. SHRM does reward us for dual memberships. As you all will notice, the last couple of weeks we've taken a break on the newsletter. They will resume again on Friday, and we're looking forward to rolling out the rest of this year.
Thank you, Mary Ann. Next on the list is the treasurer report, which I believe I was supposed to give this morning on Alan's behalf, but I can't seem to find that report in my inbox. So I apologize to everyone. I'm not going to be able to give that report this morning. And with that, Rachel, I'm going to turn it over to you so you can talk about our annual conference.
Thank you, Melissa. Just wanted to give everyone a brief reminder that we are hosting our 2025 Four Rivers SHRM Conference on Friday, March 21st of 2025. So go ahead and put that on your calendars. There will be a quick survey to go out to ask you guys some opinions on things that you would like to hear. We do have some very exciting keynote speakers, however, lined up, but we do want to know what you guys would like to hear in your breakout session so that we can book some people that you guys are wanting to hear from, or topics that you guys are wanting to learn more about or get more informed about. So be looking out for that survey, and we appreciate your feedback, and we hope to see you at our 2025 SHRM conference.
With that, I'm going to open the floor if anyone else has anything they need to share with the group. Now is the time for that.
I've received the presentation and have it loaded when we're ready for that to begin.
Wonderful. Thank you, Mary Ann. I appreciate that. If no one has anything else to add, then with that, I'm going to introduce our sponsor for the month, which is Hub. And to give the full introduction, I'm going to turn it back to Deb.
Good morning. Thank you so much to Hub International for sponsoring our October meeting. And it's been a delight to work with your team. Got to work with Emily, and then now we're going to get some very good knowledge on Medicare from Jill Lewis. So Jill, take it away.
Good morning, everybody. I apologize. My name tag says Heather Nestler, and she's here in the office with me, but of course the computer reset when it was time to go live. So everybody's probably been there. Again, I'm Jill Lewis with Hub International. I have just a quick presentation. It is 25 slides, but we are not going to go through 25 slides. I've got 5 minutes, and I know that you don't want to listen to me for that long about Medicare. But I do know that it's a very important topic that a lot of employers, with the aging population and people working longer, some questions that we might run into. So I'm going to give you a little bit of the scoop on Medicare. And there is a QR code in our presentation, and we'd love for you to take the survey, and you might win a sweet treat to be given away. So do you all need me to share my screen, or do you have the presentation? I can do either one.
You are a host and you can share away.
Perfect. Okay. Can you all see my screen?
Yes.
No.
We do now.
Do now? Perfect. Okay. So many of you all probably receive or have employees that receive lots of mail and have lots of questions about what to do when they're turning 65 or getting ready to turn 65. And I want to just break it down really, really quickly. One thing I want to tell you is there are 4 parts of Medicare. There are Part A, Part B, C, and D. And this is the important time of the year. You probably see lots of commercials right now about it's time to enroll, or it talks about Medicare Advantage plans. My recommendation is if you have questions about Medicare, please give a local agent a call. It does not have to be me. If you all work with someone, we would love the opportunity to work with you. But if you have some questions about Medicare, or if you have an employee that has questions, have them reach out, because there's so many different options and things going on, and the phone tends to ring a lot. And people get maybe enrolled in things that they shouldn't get enrolled in. So want to express that. So really quick, Part A are things that when you're turning 65, Part A, the question is, do I go ahead and sign up for Part A? Typically, the answer is yes, even if the employee stays on the group health insurance plan. So this kind of covers exactly what Part A covers: hospital, skilled nursing, hospice, home care. And Part A does not have typically does not have a cost. So they can enroll in Part A and not Part B, and still be on the group health insurance. Really quickly, Part B is the medical insurance. And this is where we get lots of questions. Do I stay on the group health insurance plan? This is the current cost. This will increase in 2025 to $185 is the average that they tell us it's going to go to. It hasn't been posted just yet, but Part A and Part B, definitely determines on what you need to do. This is just a little quick graph about what happens with original Medicare. Part A and Part B cover 80%. So then employees, or not even employees, but even people just ask, hey, what do I do next? If I've signed up for Medicare, Part A and Part B, what do I do next? Then that's when an advisor can work with your employer, work with you, and make those decisions. They can choose to go on Part C, which people know that is Medicare Advantage. They can go for a Medicare supplement plan, or they can stay on the group plan, or if they have a retiree plan. So at the end of this presentation, you will receive an email, and it's going to give a form that allows you to compare Medicare versus a group health insurance plan. And it is fillable. And we are happy to help if you have some questions and need some help working through it. But it allows you to put your group health insurance plan in there and compare it if someone enrolls with a true Medicare and still stays employed, or stays on the group health insurance plan. The last little part I'll talk about really quick is the Part D. Part D is something that is changing big for 2025. And if you offer a group employer health plan, you've probably seen lots of information coming in about that. We can help with that if you have some questions about if, you know, as far as plan being credible. But Part D is where individuals are seeing a big change, and it's helping those employees that take those high cost drugs. It is designed to have a $2,000 max out of pocket. And again, those are things that we can cover if you ever have questions working with an employee that is turning 65. And sometimes employees don't understand exactly what they need to do, especially if they have younger children or have a spouse that's not quite 65 yet. So really quick, you have the initial enrollment period, that's 3 months prior to your 65th birthday or 3 months after to enroll. AEP is the time that we're in now. So if someone is currently enrolled or thinking about enrolling, that's the annual enrollment period. So if someone needs to change prescription drug plans or Medicare Advantage plans, or is just wanting to talk about retirement, this is a good time to do it all. Open enrollment is when people that are on Advantage plans that may not like what they've got, they can then select a different plan during this time frame. And then a special election period is when an employee has maybe enrolled in Part A only, and they're ready for retirement, and they receive a special election period to enroll in health insurance, or go ahead and enroll in Part B and Medicare and pick up the remainder. So anyway, if you need help, again, please work with a licensed agent that you trust. We're here to help answer any questions or help guide you. Here is our QR code, and thank you for letting us be today's sponsor. Please, please, please fill this out. Win a sweet treat. We'd love to present you with something good. And we'll be sending an email out at the end of today's meeting.
Thank you so very much for that information. That is helpful to all of us. And of course, we appreciate Hub partnering with us and being our sponsor for this month. Thank you. And with that, we will go ahead and move to our speaker for this month. Our speaker this month is Shelly Baer with Emerald Therapy Center. Shelly is a licensed therapist, life coach, substance abuse professional, and certified corporate wellness specialist. And today she's going to talk to us about what makes a great wellness program. And with that, Shelly, let me start by thanking you, and I'll turn it over to you.
Right. I'm happy to be here. I recognize several names. So it's great to be here. So we'll go ahead and get started. I'm actually really passionate about employee wellness programs. So we'll go ahead and get going. So Marianne, you have the presentation, is that correct?
I do. I'm trying to get hosting
Sure.
capability back.
I'm just going to talk while you do that.
Okay,
So-
I'll catch up with you. Don't worry.
So as the owner of Emerald Therapy Center, you know, we have about 100 employees. So I'm always knee deep in the employee side of things. And it's just really important, you know, to companies. And then the other thing that I've been very, very pleased to start is So Wellness. And So Wellness started a few years ago looking for an exit from whenever I'm working full time to some type of retirement down the road. What do I feel passionate about? And that was really working with companies when they had a crisis, an event had happened, or just you know, going in and designing those programs for them, because I know as a business owner how important that really is. So we'll go ahead and start our presentation. Mary Ann, do you want me to? Can I advance the slides or?
Yes, that'd be great. I'll give you a host
Perfect.
capability.
Okay. And let me start by saying that corporate or company wellness is personal wellness. You can't have a great wellness program if you don't have healthy employees. And your employees have to be healthy emotionally, physically, financially, and spiritually. So, and the example I always give is I had the honor of working with a company, and they just had this great story about an employee who had gone through bankruptcy. jail, had gone to school, gone back to school. She went from living in a shelter to a sober living home, and she got a house of her own, and she did all of the things, and the company had really given her tons of resources, had invested in her, and she really reached that highest peak of real success within the company. And it was just, I mean, everyone was so excited. But what happened was those old issues that stemmed from mental health struggles that were never really addressed, the more success she had, the less those could not be ignored. So she ended up leaving the company and trying to become a competitor, which didn't work. But the company came to me and they're like, "What did we do?" She had a 401k, she had health insurance, the Dave Ramsey Smart Dollar program, gym membership, all the things that we think works, and those were all great things. But the fact is, you have to have a healthy individual before you can have a healthy team, before you can have a healthy wellness anything. And that's why, coming to you as a certified corporate wellness specialist, I really love helping companies improve the overall health of their employees. Okay, let me see if I can advance my slides.
So Shelly, because I'm sharing my screen, I can't make you a host.
Okay.
So just,
No, easy stuff. That's the worst thing that happens today. We're calling it a win.
that's right.
Yeah.
So
I'm just going to say next and we'll just go on.
sounds great.
Okay. So we know that employers are facing just an unprecedented set of challenges. We know with the economic climate, the increased cost of inflation, and then the real struggle of just retaining top talent. It is a perfect storm. And I love that Kate Mower she's the president of the National Employee Health and Benefits, Marsh McLean agency, really talked about, and this is something like, I know this, but it was really interesting to see studies actually say that employees are really focused on holistic well-being of the workforce. So next slide. And holistic health just means, and we know that it's here to stay, but holistic health means the whole person, not just a gym membership, not just health insurance, but your mental health, your financial health. So holistic health in the workforce is not going anywhere. We're just going to see more of it. And often when I work with companies, they'll talk about, well, we don't really need yoga for our employees. And I'm like, well, holistic's not yoga. Holistic is not supplements. Those may be a sidebar of something that you incorporate. But holistic health is, how do you treat your overall employee? We know that the new trend that healthcare cost is increasing across all industries, not just one industry, but all of them. And then this is another really interesting thing. So all of a sudden, we have multi-generations in one workforce, which I think is interesting. There can be a lot of advantages to that. You see people that are very mature who are able to mentor people who are new to the workforce. So there's a lot of pros, but there are also some cons, and that is some rigid thinking, some different values, different things like that can make that multi-generational workforce more complex. So think about in your own department, in your own company, do you have multi-generations working together? And I saw a TikTok the other day, and it was talking about someone that was in their late 20s was talking about, and now I go to all the birthday parties of my coworkers who are in their mid 60s. And I love that. I love that. We have to take that breath. We have to embrace change, and we have to embrace that our very best days are ahead of us because we know more. We know more about employees. We have great data. We know more about the workforce than we ever have. So we'll move on to the next slide. What do employees really, really want in a wellness program? In thinking about this, what I hear companies tell me, so when I show up and say, let me help you design a simple but cost-effective wellness program for your employees. Normally they say to me, "Oh, Miss Shelley, we got an 800 number that they can just call." And when I ask the employees, what do you want in a wellness program? What they say to me is more than an 800 number. So an 800 number for like an EAP or some assistance, it shouldn't be the whole program. It's just a tool, or it's just one resource. So you want it to be more than, I always say you want it to be boots on the ground in some way. You want people that are local, that understand the community. You know, at Emerald, we have 6 different locations in Callaway, Graves, and in McCracken. And each county is different, right? It's just different. So that 1-800 number for a very large company, it's just often not effective. But remember that your wellness program is very simple. It's just to enhance the overall health and being of your employees. So people say to you, "Well, why do we need a wellness program?" Your answer is simple. You're just going to improve the overall health of your employees. And I think about, I'll call him George. George was able to take advantage of a cancer screening benefit that his company had. And he was able to, excuse me, uh, they detected some issues, and he was able to get really great care very early on. And although he did have cancer, it hadn't progressed. And he said to me, I think it could have saved my life. It certainly bought me several more years. And I love that. So when you think about a wellness program, you know, it's not just to increase productivity, but it's also to improve the health risk, the morale, your engagement, and your retention. Now, as an owner, one of the things we really battle is morale, engagement, and retention. And I think we're very proactive. And I'm going to share some of the things that our company has learned to do from other companies and different things. We like to use a lot of platforms like Bamboo. There's a wellness community on our Bamboo for HR. So it says, so-and-so gets a promotion, so-and-so just became certified in this. It just kind of keeps you connected, even if you're in a different facility. Apps like Breathe and Calm. We had it's kind of funny, a meditation competition with us, which is a little bit of an oxymoron. One quarter, and what we said to our employees is, we're going to have a competition, and you are free to meditate. And there was an app, and that app kind of told you what to do, because I know a lot about meditation, but I can't sit down and just go, "Okay, now what do I do?" When I've been seeing clients and meeting with our ad team, you kind of have to change gears. But the app showed you how to meditate. And what we said was we were going to give some monetary awards like Amazon cards and coffee cards, gift cards, things like that for the person at each facility that meditated the most throughout the quarter. Now, my admin team went, "Oh, what if everybody's just meditating? What if they're not seeing clients?" And I'm like, "We're good, but we're not that good." So actually, I did not have the fear that our staff was going to be sitting around just meditating all day. And of course, that did not happen, but it was fun. And what it did was, for that quarter, and anytime you implement any fun, mental well-being app or program, if you do something for a couple weeks, you're not going to remember it. It's not really going to become a habit. But we did it long enough that we probably had, I want to say, 20% of our staff continue to meditate and continue to be able to relax and to recharge. Because what we do is tough. We're doing suicide risk assessments. We're in crisis mode a lot. We're in crisis mode with companies. So it was really, really neat. So using a platform, and I don't think it cost anything to do that. But that's just a simple, easy peasy example of how to build morale, and also teach a skill, because skill management is really, really important. And then keeping people engaged. We're so disengaged because there's so many things that compete for our attention, right? Our phones and all the social media. And then Also, platforms like Mondays, a project management platform, and ClickUp is another one that we use. And those really help track progress. So you can see who's doing what. Instead of blowing up someone's email, using some of those platforms is incredibly helpful. And then retention, and it's hard. We're still looking for that magic retention pill. We have not found it yet. But the fact is, getting the feedback, what do you need to do differently? Why are people joining your organization? Why are they leaving? Doing those exit interviews. And I love personality inventories. I love to use those for hiring people. And what that helps you do is you may have someone who has a lot of ADD or ADHD traits, and there may be a department that they can really shine in. But if you put them in another department where it's a lot of routine tasks, they may not do near as well. And then I always tell people it's okay if someone doesn't necessarily launch well. You know, I've had the luxury of hiring people and seeing that it might be 2 or 3 months before they kind of got their bearings underneath them. Now they still were productive and they still were contributing, but they weren't shining for a quarter or two. So giving people the grace that even if you don't launch well, really keeping them engaged and really doing training, and more training. I hate the word training because I think it's overused. The fact is, if you don't train well, you're not going to have employees that know what they're doing. And this is something that all the studies show, and that is employees want to buy in to the company mission, values, and goals. And I'll be honest, this was a little bit surprising to me that they wanted to buy in because, you know, a lot of times we think it's quote, just a job at any level. But everything, you know, comes back to employees want to believe in your mission. They want to have value in what they do. You know, it's important to me that I'll tell our front office staff, our front desk, they are the first line of triage. They really are. They might be the most important contact that client has, because it's the first face they see, or maybe our call center, it's the first voice they hear. And if that experience is negative, they never make it to see that therapist, to see that medical provider. So buying in is really, really important. And people want a work environment that resonates with them. And I think as owners, as team leaders, as admin, as HR specialists, I think we can overlook that your work environment needs to resonate. And that's a challenge for all of us. Okay, next slide. So what makes a really successful wellness program? Well, you've got to have a great foundation. You've got to have a great mission, tools, and resources. I work with lots of different industries, the marine industry, the banking industry, do a lot of work in Nashville with the entertainment industry, and you can't make that stuff up. I'm just going to tell you. It's really interesting, though, that it does not matter the industry. You have to have that mission and the tools and the resources. Tools are, it's your apps, it's your mentors, it's your programs, and the resources. We've used different financial wellness tools like Smart Dollar, Dave Reams. We've used some other ones as well. That's just a resource. It's not for every employee and it's not for every company. So find the resources that really resonate with your audience. Know your audience. You know, when I work with the marine industry, it's very different because of people are gone consistently. They're always, you know, leaving and going, leaving and going. So the resources that they need are going to look very different from someone who comes from the banking industry who goes home every night for the most part. And then you want to collaborate with leadership, right? You want your department heads to collaborate. That's where your strength is. Again, personalization, know your audience. And when I work with companies, I like to personalize. Some companies are really heavy on the physical wellness side, and they love all the things they can offer for physical wellness, decreasing blood pressure, monitoring blood sugar, exercise, physical therapy, lots of different things like that. They have a heavy emphasis, and it may be because that industry can take a toll on your physical body. So
Okay.
track your engagement and your participation. So gone are the days of, well, my gut says this feels good. I don't know about you, but I have a lot of feelings throughout the day. But I need studies, I need science, I need data that says our employees are using this or they're not using it. And that means that when you do implement something and it doesn't work, it's okay. You just know, hey, that wasn't as effective as what we had hoped. When we implemented the 401k program, which was a huge deal for us as a small business, it was a huge step. And I thought it would be like a ticket parade and people would be clapping. And we had a very small section of our employees who kind of understood and appreciated and had really longed for it. Because lots of people said in interviews, well, you don't have a 401k. But when we actually implemented it, we didn't get the feedback nor the engagement that we thought that we would have initially. So we realized that we had to promote that 401k just like we promote a lot of other things within our organization. So that was a big learning curve for me. And then healthy culture. And I really want to spend a couple minutes on this. Psychological safety, you notice that it is listed twice. Psychological safety is huge. It's very, very important. Yeah, next slide. So what we're going to talk about is just some of the common types of employee benefits, so your health benefits, your paid time off, retirement benefits, insurance, additional compensation. I love to work with companies that have a commission or bonuses, especially for positions that typically don't have that type of incentive, but very performance-based awards. Okay, next slide. And then personalized wellness benefits. Being a therapist and a life coach, of course, mental health and wellness benefits is huge for me. But it includes mental health counseling, life coaching. And I always tell people the difference between counseling or therapy is in life coaching. With life coaching, you don't have a diagnosis. It's more of how to function better, how to go through a transition, how to reach some goals that you've wanted to, where mental health counseling addresses an issue, a topic, a disorder. Medication may or may not be an option, but it's a diagnosable issue, and typically insurance is involved in that. But on-site gyms, acupuncture, we're seeing lots more of that as well. And then tuition funding is really important. And we've seen it with our organization and lots of others really help employees come on board, stay, and then get an education that they would not have been able to receive if they hadn't been working for that organization. And then food and beverages. My stepson and stepdaughter work for a German company. They're engineers. And she received 5 months of paid maternity leave. I thought that was pretty amazing. But there again, there were lots of things, discounts on food and beverages, which I thought was really interesting. That's not a common thing we see in the US a lot, but it's still really interesting. So those are some personalized wellness benefits. All right, next slide. We know that the World Health Organization reports that 12 billion working days every year are lost to depression and anxiety alone. Oh my goodness, think about that. 12 billion working days are lost every year to depression and anxiety alone. That's not factoring in substance abuse. That's just depression and anxiety. So there again, when employees are mentally healthy and stable, they're more motivated, engaged, and productive at work. All right, and next one, please. And these are just a few of the other things that we talked about, like career development, dental insurance, disability insurance, employee recognition, which is kind of tricky. Some companies have a lot of success with awards and things like that. I've worked with some companies where they will send people to a retreat, and I'm like, I want to work there. So, but there again, I think it depends on your industry and your audience. And then all of us want that flexible schedule and PTO time. But balancing that, and that's the key. A good wellness program is all about balancing what really, really works. Okay, our next slide. We know that the best wellness program is trackable with timely and informative data. So no more going with your gut. So that's really important. We don't want to know how it feels. We want to see the data. Okay, next. The gem of the day. Please remember, if you take away nothing else from this presentation, that corporate or company wellness is simply personal wellness. So keep it simple. You have to be healthy personally before you can be a healthy employee. And when I work with companies, what I'll say is, if they're in a situation with domestic violence or substance abuse, overwhelming grief, they're struggling with a health condition, they can't show up at 8 o'clock and be healthy. It's not possible. They can show up and function, and sometimes people function surprisingly well, but that doesn't mean that they're necessarily healthy. It just means that they're getting through, that they're surviving. So keep it simple. All right, next slide. So that healthy team starts with a healthy individual. And this is when you ask yourself, what areas of your life are you satisfied with? And we have a meeting a Friday a month with all of our department heads, and where we actually have about 10 minutes that I lead, where we talk about things like this, and it makes our team incredibly uncomfortable. And they don't necessarily embrace it initially, but then I get those emails throughout the week. Oh my gosh, I'm so glad we talked about this. I didn't connect to this. But if you're going to be a great leader, and you have to have insight. You have to understand, you have to put the pieces together, and you have to look at your employees and maybe the ones that are struggling and really causing the conflict and say, they're doing this because of blank. There's 2 or 3 things going on. It helps us give more grace. It helps us know what resources they might need. And then things like, what areas do you wish you could change or improve? And I always think I know my team, and then we'll do something and I'm like, whoa, I didn't see that coming. Totally left field, which keeps me really, really humble and really, really motivated. Okay, next slide. How to develop personal habits in a healthy team. We'll move on from that. With your positive team culture, you're going to learn to navigate work conflict. And there again, when you're hiring people, you have to identify, this is a high conflict personality type. This is a low conflict personality type. Because a high conflict person, they have conflict and it doesn't faze them. They don't think a lot about it. Their heart doesn't beat faster. Their mouth doesn't get dry. They don't sweat profusely like some of us do when conflict happens. So you have to identify. And my friends that are in the legal field, they'll tell me they love a good debate. And I'm like, whew, it makes me nervous. So identifying those conflict styles, because that helps you place employees and also helps you understand if someone's really struggling. And then just to communicate openly. And there again, we're going to encourage collaboration. We're going to ask for feedback. We're going to recognize the contributions people make. And I remember working with a company, and they had a front office person who just went above and beyond with an elderly customer that came in, stayed with them, helped them get a ride back, and just did all sorts of things. None of that was in her job title, job description. But then they recognized her at the next quarterly meeting that she had done that, and it meant a lot to her. And then providing for growth and professional development. It's really important that your staff take those CEUs, those trainings, those certifications. The moment we stop learning, we stop leading. And no one is so accomplished that they don't need professional development. And then providing a place for psychological safety. Next slide. And this is, I touched on it earlier, but I want to spend a few minutes talking about psychological safety. This is a shared belief that your work environment, it's a safe place to speak up, to take risks, to make mistakes without fear of negative consequences, of being bullied, of being shamed. It encourages people to share their ideas and their perspectives. It increases innovation and problem solving, but you have to have a safe place. And you can look at the slide and you can understand it, but you got to live it. One of the things I encourage companies that I work with is whatever your protocol is, if you celebrate life events, let's say a baby shower, then you need to make certain that you're celebrating those life events for same partner couples, the same as you are for different partner couples. Whatever you do it across the board, but you do it with the same enthusiasm. You do it with the same level of acceptance and excitement. You don't just, oh, we're going to have this today because we got to do it. No. That's not psychological safety. That's going through the motion. And your employees know whether you're doing it because it's just what you feel like you have to do, or if you really want to celebrate them. And I think for me, this is really important from the mental health perspective, but also just from a community standpoint of inclusiveness and diversity. That's how we learn. We learn from people who are different than us. And it's like, oh my gosh, I didn't realize that. That's so intriguing and so interesting. And we learn from each other. And the moment we lose that, we become so close-minded and so rigid. And we've come so far, but we have so much farther to go. So spend time on psychological safety. I have a whole presentation that I do on it. I just presented last week in Lexington to an insurance payer in their care coordination staff on equity, diversity, and psychological safety and the importance of it. And they had a lot of remote workers, and when they get together, they're not always real familiar with each other. So we talked about how to address that. So, okay, next slide. Equity and diversity are both important components. It's about the framework that promotes fair treatment of all people, ages, ethnic backgrounds, interests, lifestyle choices, everyone. And it's important because it also helps create more inclusive and equitable environments which benefit all of us. That's how you prosper. That's how you grow. And you know, we're coming upon the 50-year mark for the Equal Credit Act for women. And think about many of our moms or grandmothers, they could not have a credit card in their name. They couldn't open a bank account just 50 years ago, even if they worked outside the home. So equity and diversity for a lot of different demographics and populations are really, really important. But think about just from the progress we've made from women having more options. Think about how it's just improved our workforce and our economy, not to mention our families. Next slide. So your team culture, there again, it has to resonate with organizations and employees. So instead of saying, I need you to do this for me, which is what we want to do, right? I need you to do this today. By the end of the day, we've got to have this blank done. but instead, what's the best outcome? And that starts reframing how you think about things. What's the best outcome with this client, with this customer, with this project? What is the best outcome? And when you start thinking of best outcome, you become way more efficient and way more productive. And then you decide what you really want to improve on so that you free up space in your team member's mind. So instead of them worrying about what might not work, they're focused on what's the best case scenario. It may not be perfect, it may not be beautiful, it may not be exactly what you want, but what is the best outcome? So that's your whole team culture that you need to start asking that question. Next slide. And this just talks about with your team, and there again with your personal wellness. You're going to start every day. I say 3 wins a day, and I wish I would have come up with that, but actually one of our psychiatric medical providers had posted something on social media. And it talked about 3 wins a day. Keep it simple. You need a physical win, a walk, a stretch, exercise, be outside for a few minutes. Spiritual is devotion, meditation, just thinking about things that are outside of you, and really thinking about that, the emotional part of how do I regulate my emotions better, right? Those are your 3 wins. How do I regulate my anger? How do I regulate my anxiety, depression? How do I regulate my frustration? Or maybe I'm in a toxic relationship, or I have a toxic family member, or whatever that is. But 3 wins, emotional, physical, and spiritual, 3 wins a day, every single day. And then you want the financial win as well. But if you can get those 3 wins in, you're learning to navigate the stress of it all. And remember that you change you. You empower others. You survive. We are designed to do hard things in the face of adversity and obstacles. We're designed to succeed. And then also another gem of the day is just spending 1 hour every single day on a topic or a skill or a hobby actually sets the stage for you to become an expert in that. And one of the things I always love to ask people is share something someone might not know about you. And I've had some wild answers. But what that does is it helps us remember that this person is more than an employee. They're a really intriguing, interesting person. They may not be easy to deal with. They may not be super likable some days, but they still have value and they still are interesting and intriguing. And what are they interested in? I love doing that because you never know the answer you're going to get, for one thing. I'm going to do one more slide and then I'm going to wrap up and give you all a chance to ask a few questions. The last thing, and I like to do this, I want you to visualize what's in your briefcase, your tote bag, your purse, your backpack, whatever you're packing around. What old habits are you lugging around emotionally? So think about, like, do you need to clean one of those things out? Like, what's in there? And I've had tape measures before. I've had people with hammers, gum that's been there for years. But switch it to emotional habits. What emotional habits are you lugging around? Do you have time blindness? Are you chronically late? Are you sabotaging real success? Is your mental health holding you back from professional accolades? Is it abuse? Is it something that you've not dealt with, that you've stopped and you've just tried to band-aid and you're going to get to it when the kids are raised, or you have more money, or you can afford it? What old habits are holding you back? How heavy are they? And what are they preventing you from doing? It's a long presentation and we've just got 10 minutes left, so I'm going to stop there. That's the highlights of a successful employee wellness program, and a healthy employee. And I hope you'll take something away from that today. I do want to give a couple of journals of the So Wellness journals. So I'm gonna give you my email address for So Wellness. It's Shelly, SHELLY, at Shelly O'Neal, ONEAL, wellness.com. And please reach out to me and just tell me that, drop me a line. I like the presentation, or this spoke to me, or whatever. And I'd love to be able to send you a journal. Thank you for having me. It's an early morning, but I hope this adds to your day and to your week. Thank you.
Shelly, thank you so much. Does anyone have any questions that they'd like to ask Shelly? We don't typically get a lot of questions, so what I wanted to say is what really stuck out with me from your presentation is that question of what is the best outcome. And I feel like if we entered into a lot of, especially as HR professionals, entered into a lot of interactions that way, it might make us see things a little bit differently. So thank you for that little gem. I appreciate that. And thank you for taking your time out today to speak to us. We do really appreciate it. So thank you. With that, I have a few announcements. If anyone is interested in filling either that secretary or membership space, please email Four Rivers SHRM chapter at gmail.com or send an email to any current board member so that we can get you hooked up and into a role within our organization. Our final meeting of 2024 will be November 26th at 9 a.m. and that one will of course be virtual. Whenever we go through this election process, you're going to receive a slate of candidates within the next week via email, and you will receive a link to vote the following week. And 2025 board members will be announced at the November meeting. So thank you. Please go in and self-nominate if you're interested in any of those roles. And thank you all for your time. And thank you to Hub for sponsoring our meeting again. And Shelly, again, thank you so much. I appreciate that you showed up for us today. Everyone, have a great day.